Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the flaming hot grilled cheese burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Refreshing and goes down smooth. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you. Yes.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
You could win one of 2 trips to see Banana Ball live. Purchase 2 Body Armor products, use Let's Go Rewards, and you're entered to win. Right now, Body Armor is buy one, get one for $1 with Let's Go Rewards. Start getting those entries in. Let's go.
Around here, toughness isn't talked about. It's lived.
Matt Wagner with the one-handed catch down.
Early mornings, late nights.
Going forward with 4.
Work that doesn't make the highlight reel.
Same mindset, different uniform.
This is the blue-collar grit, earned, not given.
Tough days don't stop us. They build us.
McMillan shoots and scores.
For the workers who don't back down, Ford doesn't either.
Shannon fires.
Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, RoadPaint.com, and the Blue and Orange Store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State Athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
All right, Bronco Nation news. I am not BJ Rains. I am Nathan Carroll coming to you live with Bronco Nation News live this morning here with John Mallory, filling in for BJ. He's doing the good dad thing. He's at his kids' baseball tournament, and they got a game this morning. He said, "You know what? We'll pass it over to the amateur. We'll give it to Nathan for a day. Let him help run the show, and so he can go be a good dad." But Friday morning, we're going to be talking a little bit of spring game. That's coming up in about just over 24 hours from now. We're going to be talking a little NFL draft. Going to have a guest with us later on to talk about the draft. But John Mallory, how are you doing this Friday morning?
Draft weekend, right? And then you get the spring game too on Saturday. Not sure how I feel about that yet. You know, I love just doing nothing on Saturday, but watching day 3. So that will be different this year. We'll watch it from our computers in the press box and follow on our phones like the rest of the world who has a life and has to do stuff on Saturday, but still want to follow the NFL draft. So thanks again. Excited to be here on a Friday with you. Schedules got all shifted this week, but it's a good time to be a Boise State fan, I think, with the Boise State Spring Game tomorrow and potentially Cage Casey hearing his name tonight, Nate.
Yeah, potentially hearing his name tonight. How about this, too? There's a chance that he ends up getting his name called during the spring game, right? If he falls to like the 4th or 5th round, like we could all of a sudden hear a cheer during a timeout of the spring game because everyone's checking their phone and seeing Cage Casey get drafted. But
that's probably more likely than tonight, to be honest, with the way things are shaping up, with the amount of linemen that went in round 1. You didn't have a lineman go off the board until pick 9, I think it was. Heavy skill position draft early on. I don't know. I don't think that's good for Cage, but we'll see. You know, just takes that one team to like you a lot more than everybody else, but potentially tonight, certainly tomorrow if he doesn't go tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we've seen it in past years. I remember the Alexander Madison draft. There was talk of like, probably a day 3 guy, 5th round, 6th round. Minnesota Vikings fell in love with it, and all of a sudden Alexander Madison's a 3rd rounder, right? You sometimes get the opposite where Khalil Shakur, 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder, he has the ankle injury, drops into the middle of day 3, right? The draft is kind of a crapshoot. You never know what's going to happen. So I know I'll definitely have the computer ready to go tonight, ready to write a story on wherever Cage Casey's going if he does end up going tonight, because I don't think round 3 is totally out of the picture for Cage Casey. But we'll get into Cage Casey and some of the other Broncos who could potentially hear their name called tonight in a little bit. Want to start us off with the spring game right on the horizon. Man, we never have the spring game this late, first and foremost. It feels like we should be done with spring ball right now, and we're just now getting into the spring game. But story going up on BNN this morning, breaking down the 5 things for fans to watch at the spring game. If you haven't been clued into the coverage and you're just last second need a quick primer, hop in and what do I need to look for as a fan? Top 5 things to look for. So go subscribe. That is a VIP article over at BNN. But top 5 things for the spring game. I had my list. I guess before I talk through some of what I had on there. Ball game. What's top 1 or 2 things for you that you're like, if you're a fan and you want to see this team and get a sense of the 2026 team, you got to keep an eye on this guy or this position group?
I mean, as there's been the same names, and I'll just say, I hope, because you never know with the spring game. Sometimes guys won't play. And it might even be he stubbed his toe walking into the Blaymire, getting ready for the spring game, and they're like, no, you're not going. I mean, it's that touch and go with the spring game. But I really hope we see Rashawn Jones out there. He is one of the, I would imagine, he's a 1 when it comes to a receiver. He's done that in spring. He's elevated himself to that type of potential where when they do begin fall camp and they're in their first 3 receiver set, I expect Rashawn Jones to be one of the 3. I would love a chance for the fans to be able to see what we've been able to see, his ball skills, his ball tracking, his athleticism, his size and strength. And you've seen it. The ball goes in his direction and he comes down with it. And I hope we get to see that. I don't know if he's going to play or not. You never know, but I hope we see that, Nathan. And then, man, the Kansas kid is big. He's got Genty upper body stuff, man. When he rocks around on practice, you get like weird Genty vibes. Kind of want to see him run. For me, I guess just some of the newer players to this, whether they're true freshmen or these transfers coming in. Darren Morris looks really smooth, man, right? He is a silky smooth receiver on the outside who I expect to be a starter and maybe the team leader in receptions, yards, or touchdowns. I think Demo's going to play a lot, so a chance for Bronco Nation to see him. He's from an HBCU, from Southern, so this is a massive jump from him, but he looks the part, Nathan. One thing for me defensively, just quickly, they look smaller than years past. I just look at them and I think that looks smaller than a typical Boise State team, but I think they're going in that direction with emphasis on speed, certainly at linebacker. I expect to see a lot of contact too, Nathan. I mean, because we've seen full contact practice several times. We'll see how they do on the spring game. I expect it to be physical.
Yeah, I think so. It seems like physicality has been a priority this spring, right? I think the staff's pretty aware. Tackling has been an issue in recent years, and we've talked about it plenty. It seems like they're doing more hitting, more live reps than since I've seen doing spring coverage. I mean, this is only my second year being there for spring practices, but you've been around a lot longer. I mean, they're doing a lot of hitting. They're doing a lot of full contact. So I would expect some of that carries over to the spring game where guys are hitting, guys are tackling. I'm with you on the defense. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a fast defense, and they rally to the ball, man. When they go into these live drills, it's something that I guess I didn't realize watching practices in the past couple of years, but it seems like every time a guy gets a ball, he gets hit, and then there's 5 Broncos swarming. Like, I think this defense has a little bit of a hunger and an edge about them. I'm excited for fans to get to see that, hopefully get to see that at full contact. But Rayshon Jones, I won't spoil the whole article. Again, go check it out at BroncoNationNews.com. But Rayshon Jones is my number one. I mean, think about this. I think the last time a true freshman was this hyped up heading into a spring game, I think it was Ashton Genty, right? Like, there was no one last year or in the past couple of years who, as a true freshman, I think was garnering this much hype this early on. And, not to say that Rayshon Jones is going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft or anything, but it's just been a little bit of time since there's been a true freshman who walked onto campus, and within 3-4 weeks of being on campus, he's starting to get as much name recognition and as many shout outs from the coaches as Rayshon Jones has. I'm very excited for fans to get to see him. And like you said, hopefully he plays, because you never know at the spring game. I mean, a guy could break a fingernail and they're like, let's shut it down, right? And by the way, thank God that there's not the portal to deal with anymore, because they might have just sat Rayshon Jones just to make sure that no power programs get to see him and see how good he is. Like,
that's going to be a tough sell for Spencer, JD, and the crew to try to keep Rayshon Jones in Boise State's uniform for at least a couple of years, man. Sad that that's the game now. But I mean, he was playing in Baker City, Oregon. It's a town of 6,000 people. No one from that school has ever done anything of football significance to this level. Like, he slipped through the cracks. And by the time Dan Lanning found out the kid's really loyal, he was already set to come to Boise and other schools. Like, there wasn't really that many schools that even got in on him late, because he was all about Boise. But yeah, it's almost like we've all put too much pressure on the kid. You're right. He's 17. He showed up looking like Ash and Sire. Those were the 3 17-year-olds for me these last years. Oh, you're like, wow, okay, that kid has potential to be really, really good. He's already one of the best players on the team, and he's a teenager. So I hope he plays too. But yeah, I think he just kind of slipped through the cracks. Getting him to stay, that's going to be interesting, because if there was another portal, oh God. Yeah.
And I put in one of the articles that, I mean, you mentioned the Baker City part of this. If he grew up in Los Angeles, I think he's a 4-star kid, and he's probably at USC right now, right? Or even take it a step further. If he just spent 4 years in the Treasure Valley instead of just his senior year, that's probably enough extra exposure that you're talking about, like you said, an Oregon or a Washington coming in to go pluck this kid from Rocky Mountain High School. But I'm typically with the true freshman, I'm the settled down juice guy. I'm like, all right, hey, he looks good for a freshman. I think he'll be good someday, but maybe not right away, right? Like there was a lot of buzz for like Quentin Brown last year during fall camp. And it was like, hey, Quentin Brown looks good, but he's probably going to be like a rotational guy. And I feel like every time I want to start to pump the brakes on Rayshawn Jones, he does something a little bit better at the next practice, right? You talk about consistency and continuing to stack good days.
Yeah.
It's Rayshawn Jones.
Oh, he's like a pro.
Yeah.
He just goes through the motions really well. He seems, and I love Q too, but Quentin Brown's 5'5". Rashawn Jones is 6'2", man. It's funny. I was talking to Jaden Mickey, and I said, something about, he called him a grown-ass man. And I was like, 17. And he goes, man, when you're that big, you're a grown-ass man, and that's Jaden Mickey, who's a fifth-year player, saying that. I mean, Rashawn Jones was in middle school when Jaden Mickey showed up to Notre Dame. And I'll tell you this, like, it's weird, the Baker City angle. I spent a long part of my radio career on the air every day on KBKR 1490 AM in Baker City doing the Johnny Ball Game show in LeGrand too. That was my little market. And I remember somebody telling me, like, dude, Jabron Jones, everybody knows him in that area. That's Rashawn's dad. He was a basketball player at Eastern Oregon University and then took a teaching job and was a coach and a teacher in Baker City and LeGrand forever. Rashawn and his brother Isaiah were born in Baker City, and they grew up there because his dad was a teacher and a high school basketball coach. And I remember someone telling me, dude, Jabron's son is in 8th grade and he's dunking. And I'm like, what? And that doesn't happen in Baker City, Oregon. Ever. Ever. And then, and then he gets to high school. He's a 9th grader. He's the best player, everything. And it's just, he set every her track and field record. And he didn't even he should be running high school track and field right now. And that's scary because we went done broke every other record when he was a sophomore as a 16-year-old. So yeah, if he would have been in a different area, he would have just been another one of those dudes who looks like they're 20 when they're 15. And fortunately for Boise and Spencer, he was in this nook of Eastern Oregon and grew up loving Boise State, and now he wants to ball for Boise State. And I think there's a shot he'll stay a couple of years too. I think he really does like it here. But yeah, I've been hearing, it's weird, full circle, in this business, but I've been hearing about this kid since he was like 11 or 12, and now I see him at practice at Boise State, and he's like the best dude on the team. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's excited to see him in the spring game. You talked about Jaden Mickey calling him a grown man. He's almost built. His build reminds me a little bit of Deebo Samuel, right? Because he's got all of this upper body strength. Usually wide receivers, they're long, they're lanky, they've kind of got quiet strength, right? You throw him on a bench press, you're like, oh wow, he's putting up more weight than he looks like he could. Rayshawn Jones is total opposite, man. I think if he wanted to, he could go explore a career in bodybuilding or something. He's just got muscle on his body that 17-year-olds don't typically look like that. You said it, Sire Gaines, Ashton Genty. And we're talking about a wide receiver who looks like those two guys.
Looks like that too. Well, yeah. I hate putting all this hype on him. I know everybody's doing it, and I almost feel guilty with it because it's silly. He's 17. We should be like, hey, in a couple years, expect him to do something. He's trajectory right there. But he's left such a mark in spring ball that you can't help but to think that, Boise State's had a great job of producing, star players, skill position players. They found Ashton Genty, same deal, and maybe they found another here at a different position. He's not going to be Ashton, but could be a very, very, very helpful receiver this year. I'm now not going to be surprised, Nathan, if he's, up there in receptions or yards or touchdowns on this team next year as a true freshman. Sure.
Yeah. If fast forward to December, you tell me Rayshawn Jones had 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. I'm not surprised by that. And again, I'm typically the settle down guy. I'm typically the, hey, let's pump the brakes. He's a 17-year-old, but he's been really, really, really special to start his college tenure. Any other thoughts, last comments, anything else you're looking forward to for the spring game tomorrow? That, we talked about the receiver room. You talked about Harry Stewart and kind of the defense as a whole. Anywhere else that you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I guess just the front. I mean, this is the JV offensive line playing, So how is the JV offensive line going to handle the first team defense? Don't be shocked if the defense is winning or maybe even dominating the line of scrimmage at times. And the running back is getting stuffed right there, almost like Genty is a Raider. Most of the offensive linemen, Nathan, I don't think are going to be your starters, simply because you look at both. I mean, at least Matoyer is going to be a tackle. He's out. And at least Carry-On is going to be a guard. He's out. And you could argue Kyle Cox could be your penciled-in left tackle. You could argue somebody else. But, yeah, those guys aren't playing. So we'll see how the line offensively can I don't know, figure out a way to contain the defense. And maybe they can. And I'm looking to see Mad Dog, if we see him out of the pocket a little bit. I want to see some play-action boots and that type of stuff. Get Madsen outside of the pocket, maybe because of that offensive line. Just some movement, man. Spring games are so boring. They're the worst thing ever. Every year I get excited for it, and then I sit there in the press box, and I'm looking at my computer screen, watching whatever the hell else is on. They're so slow, and I just hope we get some action. That'd be fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there is a little bit of predictive nature, I think, sometimes to spring games. Last year it was Dylan Riley who exploded for like 100+ yards in the spring game. And at the time we thought this is probably going to be the RB4 because we thought it was going to be Sire Gaines, Malik Sherrod, and Breezy Dubar. That was like the three guys who we thought were going to lead the backfield. And then Dylan Riley ends up being an all Mountain West player and breaks out. Jake Ripp had a massive spring game last year. He ends up playing 500 snaps for the Broncos last year. So I do think sometimes the guys who can break out and have a massive, massive spring game, a lot of times I think it can be indicative of, all right, this guy might be earning himself playing time or earning himself a bigger role than maybe we would have expected. So I'm with you on the offensive line. Tyler Etheridge at left tackle is a very interesting player to me. Definitely competing for the starting gig there at left tackle. Curious to see how he holds up. He's probably going to have a lot of matchups with a really talented edge room. I mean, Jaden Virgin Morgan, Roman Kaywood, Bull, Sterling Lane. There's a lot of good players in the edge room. And if he holds up against those guys, he'll hold up against pretty much anyone in the Pac-12, in my opinion. And then the last thing that I'll mention before we talk a little bit of the draft, I'm excited for the fans to see the two freshman quarterbacks, Jackson Taylor, Cash Herrera. We've spent all offseason talking about him in our message boards over and over again. We've got people saying, is Cash going to win the job? Is Jackson Taylor going to be the guy? Bronco Nation gets a chance to see them. First time they get to suit up and wear the pads, wear the gear. I'm excited to see how they play. They're going to be running with the twos, the threes, the fours, right? Like they're not going to be getting reps with the ones, but excited for Bronco Nation to be able to see those guys for the first time because they've kind of been the talk of the town for a lot of this offseason heading into spring camp. But
I'm falling in love with Herrera, Nathan. He throws the ball really well, but then he'll miss a snap, So it's like you got to be like, okay, don't think about putting this guy in a game right now because, he'll look great on one play, and then, he'll throw an interception the next time, and I've seen that. I saw a play that Cash Herrera made. He split two defenders with the ball, and it was probably an ill-advised pass. It was probably a pass that Mike Holmgren had to yell at Brett Favre for and say, no more rocket balls, please. It's probably one of those, but God, he split the two defenders and he hit the Boise State receiver. I won't say who it is. He hit him right in the chest. It was a perfect pass, but I almost don't also blame the receiver for knowing that that ball was going to be there. Probably has never been there before for that receiver on that route. So the ball just kind of hit him in the chest. It popped up. It got picked off and taken back. So it's like, damn, did you see that throw from Cash Herrera? Yeah, damn, but did you see Cash Herrera not even attempt to tackle the guy who just picked him off? He just watched him fly right by him. All these things. Or the receiver, he should have caught that ball. Well, the receiver, how was he supposed to know? Like, that was probably, that was a play I saw Cash make. Damn, man. He just made that throw. I mean, it probably wasn't the smartest move, but to say, like, okay, he's got that. That can be your best thing and your worst thing. I'll never forget Mike D'Antonio said this about Nate Robinson, a basketball player that you remember. He said the best thing about Nate Robinson is he can get a shot off whenever he wants. The worst thing about Nate Robinson is that he can get a shot off whenever he wants. And quarterbacks that was the Brett Favre thing. The best thing about him is his arm, but the worst thing about him is his arm, because he you know what I'm saying. You have to be in control at that position. But man, I love Cash Herrera too. I think he throws the ball really well, and eventually, yeah, he might be a guy that Boise State fans get to call their starting quarterback. But that's a big E in eventually, big E. So, but I do like him, and Jackson Taylor operates just fine too. The quarterbacks have been okay for me in spring.
Yeah, I'll say this about Jackson Taylor. The one thing that's really stood out about me about his game, because you mentioned with Cash Herrera, like the ball just flies off his wrist, right? He flicks a wrist that's gone in a way that we haven't really seen from a Boise State quarterback. You'd probably have to go back, kind of a deep cut name, but Chase Cord had a live arm when he was early on at this program before some of the injuries.
Sam Vidlak had a live arm too. Weird. I mean, I remember Vidlak would spin better than all the guys, Talon, Mad Dog, and you're like, okay, anyway, yeah.
No, he Sam Vidlak, by the way, had a throw, I think against Portland State, like 25-yard dig route that I was like, oh, all right, there's something here with Sam Vidlak. But Jackson Taylor, he throws on the move really well. Off-platform stuff is really good. And I think that's something that long-term this coaching staff's really going to love. All of that play-action boot stuff that they want to run. I think Jackson Taylor's a really good scheme fit for this program. And so I'm excited to see, spring game, see how those two perform. We're going to talk, we're going to talk a little bit about the draft, but first, this is a free show. You guys get to come in and enjoy the Boise State content without having to pay for it. So we do want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, thank you for our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise. If you need a new truck, you need a new car, head on down to Lithia Ford of Boise. Let them hook you up. Bronco Nation News, title sponsor. They do a great job. Coming to you live from the Sun Cruiser Studios as well. Sun Cruiser, real iced tea, real vodka, no carbonation. If you're looking something for a little bit different to liven up your spring game experience, to enjoy yourself, Sun Cruiser. They've got the iced tea. They've got the lemonade. They've got the new blueberry lemonade. I haven't tried it yet, but that's right up my alley. I'm a blueberry, blue raspberry guy all the way. So be sure to check out Sun Cruiser. And hey, we want to thank ICCU, that high yield online savings. I'll just say this as a financial advisor for my day job, that is a competitive high yield savings. You're getting great rates there. We thank them for sponsoring BNN and for supporting Boise State as well. Just want to thank Jackson's. If you're still looking to go watch Banana Ball, coming into Eugene, Oregon, coming to Boise, Idaho, be sure to check out Jackson. They've got a chance to win tickets to Banana Ball when you buy any 2 body armor products. And those body armor products, buy one, get one for $1. So a great deal there. And then lastly here, we want to thank Taco Bell and the Nicolason family. Taco Bell, they've got a full menu. If you're looking for a quick bite to eat, it's not going to kill your wallet. It's going to make the kiddos happy. Be sure to check out one of your Treasure Valley Taco Bells. Big thanks to our sponsors. I don't know if we'll get to all of the sponsors and all of the ad reads today, but big thanks to them for supporting Bronco Nation News and all that they do for us. So ball game, got NFL draft coverage going on. We'll chat about Cage Casey, but we'll bring in former Dolphins staffer, spent, I believe, 27 years working with the Dolphins. Adam Engroff joining Bronco Nation News Live. Adam, how are you doing this morning, man?
I'm good. First draft I have not been a part of since 1998, so it was a odd day, and still getting texts and phone calls during the draft last night. But I was at a Timberline senior night baseball game, so very strange. But draft's always a big event, and it's always an exciting show. It just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah. As a scout, Engroff, I've talked to scouts on draft day. Do they put you in like another room and then like other people will come in and out? What was your day-to-day typically? Maybe it changed depending on who the head coach at the time was down there, but what was your role on draft day?
Well, through the years, I had several roles, from moving the cards all around when I first started, they had magnets, and then graduated up to calling the player, when we were getting them on the clock. And then as I got promoted, then once I was the director of college scouting and the director of player personnel, I'm, making phone calls and right in there. Sometimes the teams don't have the scouts in there. And then if they do need them, they call them in, just so the draft room's not, cluttered and busy. Sometimes, the owner, they can do whatever they want and they'll bring in whoever they want. And so it gets a little crowded in there. But last 10 years, I'm right there at the draft table and doing phone calls, and it's a lot of information gathering during the draft. You're calling guys, you're calling agents, you're texting guys, and then, floating trade offers. So, I would say the first round is the most boring. You just sit there because there's not a ton of action, because a lot of the trades have already been talked about during the week. But once the second round, like tonight, is a very fun night. And then the third day of the draft, when the picks are 5 minutes apart, it's going. So that's what I usually did. I was usually, right there in the mix of it.
Love it.
So now that you're, no longer working with the team, this is your nitty gritty everyday, business. Are you still doing some stuff on the side, still looking at guys and still kind of going through your process and your prep? Or did you just take a year off this year and say, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy being a dad, being a family man? What was your process this year compared to past years?
So I finished with the Dolphins probably the first week of December, last week of November. So I've scouted pretty much the entire country and did some more work, and talking to agents and I've talked to a few other teams, and we'll see what happens there post draft. Might not be able to come on the show anymore, hopefully. And but yeah, I've been doing a lot of dad stuff. I coached my 10-year-old Bo baseball team, and went on a lot of recruiting visits with my middle son, who's going to be a senior at Timberline, Brody. So we've done a lot of recruiting visits, and then my oldest is going to USC to play, and so I spent half the week down there for him going to spring ball. So I have been busy, to say the least.
Wow, you got a kid down at USC. When you came into the league, did Jimmy Johnson hire you?
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
Actually, the college director, Tom Bratz, who was the college scouting director for Jimmy, hired me, and that's the first coach I worked for.
He came up with the system, correct? The draft slot value system.
Yeah, it's interesting because he came up with that in Dallas before he became Miami. His son, Jimmy's son, was a stockbroker, a very big financial guy, and then Jimmy was always Jimmy's might be the smartest, like, IQ guy that I've ever worked for. He could run any company, let alone a football team. And he just looked at draft picks as commodities, and they did the Herschel Walker trade, which everybody knows about. But they assigned point values to picks, and as the draft got later, the value of the pick went down. So he just would trade them around, and he was really good at figuring out the 10 to 15 guys he wanted in the draft, like his favorite players, and then he would just shuffle around and get picks and try to go get those guys. And I always thought that was ahead of the time. And his last year, I remember him saying like no one would trade with him because everybody thought they were getting screwed over, which a lot of times they were, because no one would trade with him his last year. And I think that was the 99 draft.
Well, speaking of, trading with guys and USC, I feel like that GM has become Howie Roseman with the Eagles, right? It's like you don't want to deal with Howie Roseman because he's always getting the best of these deals. Last night, he moves up in the draft with the Cowboys, does a deal with an in-division rival to go get Mekhi Lemon, who is at USC. I bring it up because personally one of my favorite picks of the draft. Love Mekhi Lemon. I think he's a great fit in Philadelphia. But just to start nationally, and then we can dive into some of the Boise State guys here in a moment. But you scouted these guys, these rosters. Did you have any highlights, favorite picks from the first round? I'm sure you're trying to get jobs. You probably don't want to bash anyone for a pick you didn't love, but any favorite picks or highlights from you from the first round last night?
Yeah, there's always you always have favorite players that you really liked. You got a really good feel for in the draft. I really like what the Jets did at 16 with Sadiq Kenyon. He's from Idaho, coincidentally, and he can be a weapon in the league, and if used correctly, because he can run, he's super athletic, he's tough. So I really like that pick. And the other pick I really liked was another Oregon player. I really liked the safety from Oregon that the Bears took. I think he's going to be an excellent NFL player. Height, weight, speed, instincts, great kid. So I really like that pick. And the Cowboys getting Caleb Downs at 11. Mm-hmm. He's an unbelievable football player, high football IQ, just a playmaker. I know some teams were probably turned off that he's not the biggest, the tallest, the fastest, but to me, one of the best football players in the draft. So those probably three stand out for me.
I agree with the Caleb Downs thing. Thought he was the best player in the draft, but I get, okay, fine, the size too. That's kind of what I was told there, Adam. The first offensive lineman was pick 9. High level skill positions going in the top. Where are you making with the line and the tackle guard position, and maybe where Cage Casey fits into that for any potential that he can hear his name tonight?
I think there's a chance maybe in the third round. If you talk to my friends around the league, it's kind of a mixed bag on him. Is he a tackle? Is he a guard? Some people think he's going to be a really good starter. Some people think he's a backup. So I hope that he would go here in the third round. I think I mentioned it before, and I've mentioned it on another podcast, but there's so few offensive linemen, and I always equate it to like baseball. They always say pitching's currency in baseball. I think O-line is currency in the NFL because there's so few players. So there's a run of tackles last night. Teams moving up to get them. And I think as the draft goes on here, if there's any good players left that people like, they're going to go get them. So I think Cage will probably go in the third round somewhere because O-line, like I said, they get hot, and then you got to go get them because there'll be none left.
Yeah, so you're telling me I should keep the laptop ready to write the article and the fit piece for.
Well, I wouldn't put money on it, but I would hope. I hope the third round, fourth round, maybe the floor. Mm-hmm. But he's a good player. He's a steady. Is he going to be an All-Pro? Probably not, but he's going to be a good player. I've always thought he was a lot like Ezra Cleveland, and Ezra's had a nice career. Not a Pro Bowl player, but he's a starter. He's made a lot of money. So that's how I see Cage.
Now, with you dove into the film and obviously seen all of maybe not all of his games, but you've seen a lot of his work. Is there any particular sort of schemes or fits for him that you think stand out? Like, is he someone that you want to see in a Shanahan wide zone scheme, or is he more of a Andy Reid kind of spread offense game, or do you think he's pretty malleable and can fit into a lot of situations?
I think he could do a lot of things. He's not super athletic for the wide zone stuff, how you mentioned, but he is athletic, and he's not huge, like the Philadelphia Eagles love gigantic offensive linemen, but he is a big man. So I think he can play them both. I think he would lean more towards the bigger O-line, because I don't think he's an elite athlete as far as like running and getting out and doing things, but he can't do that. So I'm kind of dancing around your question, but I think he can go to either scheme type of schemes. But I think the gap scheme teams that rely on size and one-on-one battles, I think that's going to be the teams that like him more.
What about first off, what did the bench press do for Braxton Feely and any potential there? I mean, I know it's a wild card, but this is the NFL draft, man. Like Braxton Feely, maybe round 7, maybe late day 3, and just how important potentially his pro day on the blue was in any chance he might have.
It's a obviously tremendous feat what he did. It's an eye opener. I think I told BJ this. It's not the end all be all for D-line. It's like it's a nice thing to see, but I think people would want to see what he weighs, what his arms measured, and then what he ran. And I think he ran pretty well. Unfortunately, he's just not a big human being. He's bigger than all of us, but D-line wise, he's undersized for the NFL. That being said, he does have value because he's tough, he's instinctive, he is athletic, and he plays really hard. So I think the teams that play, we call it a one gap scheme, where they penetrate and get upfield, where he's not asked to sit and occupy blocks and two gap and just stand, and just be big, where he can get up the field, use his quickness and speed. Those teams, I think, will have some interest. I hope he gets drafted. I do not think he will get drafted, but he will get a free agent offer from somewhere, from one of those teams that run that one gap scheme.
And obviously, Cage is the one name that we'd expect to hear in this draft. I mean, if he didn't get drafted, I think that'd be a total stunner. But I mean, right now, you look at the consensus boards, there isn't somebody who's kind of expected to go on that day 3. You mentioned Braxton Feely probably won't get drafted. We fast forward to Sunday morning, and I said one Boise State player not named Cage Casey got picked. Kind of an upset. It was a surprise. Do you think Braxton Feely's most likely, or is it a Matt Lauder or one of these corners? Like, is there another name that you think probably not going to happen, but give it more than a 2% chance?
I think you touched on all of them. I think I'm forgetting his name. The Randolph, the center, could get drafted. Again, I go back to the O-line. Those guys go. I think he could get drafted late. McCoy could probably go late. Here's what happens, guys. In the 6th and 7th round, every team is calling all these guys like, hey, we're not going to draft you. We're not going to draft you. But would you consider an offer coming to us? And you feel them out. And then after those phone calls start happening, you kind of get a feel like, oh, we're not going to get this guy in free agency. And then you have like a 7th round pick. And you're like, well, let's just take him so we don't have to get into some bidding process. And then cross your fingers hoping you get him. So that could happen. There could be lots of interest from like 3 or 4 or 5 teams, and then money might get started. It's not supposed to be talked about, but teams will just pull the trigger if they have like 3 7th round picks. Let's just take this guy to get rid of the the suspense of if this guy's going to sign with us or not.
And then last thing I'll ask you, and then I'll let you get out of here. Let's go real nitty gritty. Every year there's 1, maybe 2 long snappers that gets taken. Mason Hutton, I mean, he was phenomenal at Boise State. Don't think I ever saw a bad snap from him. Is there anything in particular that when you're scouting guys, when you're looking at long snappers that stand out? I don't know how much long snapper work you did this year. Is Mason Hutton going to be an NFL guy? I know that his dad's active in the BNN community and online with Boise State, and big supporter of his son, obviously. Is there anything there with Mason Hutton?
I didn't study him deeply. I know who he is, but I didn't study him hard. You said it earlier. There's not a lot of long snappers that get drafted. The Dolphins long snapper for 16 years I signed And I told BJ that story on here. He was our long snapper for 16 years. John Denny from BYU, and I signed him for $5,000. So, and he was a really good college player at defensive end. Now that was in 2006 or 2005. So, I mean, usually the guys, long snappers, it's maybe one every other year. They're 4-year starters. They're usually bigger guys. They have no missed snaps. So most of the long snappers I've been around were all undrafted free agents. So to say that he's going to get drafted, I would highly doubt it. But I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a shot in camp.
I got to jump in here real quick. If we want to nerd out about long snappers real quick, but I think your guy is like third or fourth all time in games played in Miami Dolphins history. Can you confirm that?
I think he's number one.
He passed Marino.
Yeah, because he played till he was 41.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can fact check me on that one, but I think he had the most games played. I hope that's right. I said that on a national podcast here last week. So yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, the guys weren't playing 16 years in Shula's era. Plus, they didn't play 16 games in a season. Your guy played 16 games every year. Didn't tear his Achilles like Marino did in '93. Like, didn't have any of that stuff. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Like, the Bears record holder is a long snapper too. It's not some nitty gritty Chicago Bears legend. No, it's a long snapper who was there on the team for 17 years. That's what makes it so hard to break in there too. Adam, find a good one. And, all right, we're good for 15 years. We got our long snapper. It's crazy.
And it's gold. It's gold in the personnel world when you don't have to worry about it every year, because I think last year, since John retired, the Dolphins, we went through several long snappers. We were just pulling them off the practice squad every 3 or 4 weeks. So, and having a consistent long snapper is a big effect on your kicker because of the timing, the way the ball comes out. So it really affects your place kicker the most. So having a guy there every year, it's like a binky, a blanket, that you can just count on. So you brought it up. The rules changed too, where you really can't line up and hit the guy too much, so those guys don't get hit.
Yeah, you can't even hit them. It's even better for job security. Yeah.
Going back to John was 6'5", probably 260 coming out. Well, he changed his body type. He tremendous shape, like Iron Man stuff, and he got down to like in the low 240s and was already a great athlete. So, and he really took care of his body. So that's why he played so long. I mean, he was a true pro.
Adam, we can finish with this. Just anyone that's on your board right now that you love day two, that you think is going to be maybe not a future star, but, future starter, going to play for a long time in the league. Just anyone that you've got your eye on for tonight's second and third round.
Oh, there's a lot of good players. There's Zion Young at Missouri is a really good player. He's still out there. Traden Stukes from Arizona is a cover safety. He's out there. So, no, those are two of the top guys I could think of. There'll be a lot of action. This round was always fun for scouting purposes because either one, the team with the top pick, which I believe is San Francisco right now, they know who they're taking, or they're having the discussions and watching tape today, like there's 3 guys they're probably talking about, or that part of it's fun. And the other thing is a lot of teams are calling those first 2 teams right now, and you can weigh offers because the teams behind them are like, we need to get this guy now. We need to get this guy now. So there's a lot of action going on in buildings right now just because of those first 3 picks of this round. So that was always exciting. And then that happens tomorrow as well with the start of round 4, because you got all night to think about it. You can sit there and talk about it. It's not moving in real time. You can, digest it, let it marinate with you, the staff a little bit. And I always like the first 5 picks are always exciting in the second round because it's going to go fast because everybody knows who they want because they've had all day to think about it, or there's a lot of trades. So that's what you'll see from the start of the draft tonight.
Fantastic. Well, Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming on and talking the draft, talking Cage Casey. Best of luck coaching your son's baseball team. Hopefully you guys continue to stack some wins, and best of luck to you and your future endeavors. Want to just get through the rest of our sponsors here. Big thank you to the Blue and Orange Store for sponsoring Bronco Nation News. If you're a Boise State fan, be sure to go check out the Blue and Orange Store down by the Allen Noble Hall of Fame. Go get all of your Boise State gear in time for tomorrow's spring game. Big thanks to Matt Bauscher, best real estate. No longer just in the Treasure Valley, no longer just in Idaho, but the #1 selling real estate team in the Northwest. If you're watching from Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, be sure to give Bauscher Real Estate a phone call. That phone number right there on the screen, 208-252-9877. Big thanks to Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Hey, Signature Roofing, if you need a new roof, give a call to Signature Roofing, Joel Cano and the guys. They do a phenomenal job. And be sure to leave us a message in the Signature Roofing voice inbox. That's there at speakpipe.com/BNN. Give us your thoughts. Give us your comments on the spring game, on Cage Casey, on the basketball transfer portal and what Boise State's doing there. Give us your thoughts. Give us your comments. And big thanks to Signature Roofing for sponsoring our Speak Pipe. And Element Fencing, if you need a new fence, I know my fence probably needs an update. It's an old one at this point. You got some of the house we moved into, they hand built it. And let's just say they were not craftsmen when they did it because we got pieces of wood falling out. We needed to get an update. We'll be calling Element Fencing. If you need a new fence, give Element Fencing a call. Ridley's Family Market. Locations in Cuna, Middleton, Star, Weiser, McCall, Gooding, Buell, Jerome, Kimberly, Rupert, Pocatello, and Blackfoot. If you're really anywhere in southern Idaho, be sure to give to stop in there at Ridley's Family Market. It's a family atmosphere. They've got everything you need and more. Check out Ridley's Family Market, and thank you for sponsoring Bronco Nation News. And lastly, Row Paint. If you need a paint job done, talking about housing projects, we need to do some exterior paint on this house. We'll be giving Row Paint a call and having them come down. They do a phenomenal job. If you need paint or coatings, be sure to give Row Paint a call, the official paint coating company of Boise State Athletics. Again, phone number there on the screen, 208-991-0567. Big thank you to Row Paint. All right, Johnny, I'll let you get out of here, but any final thoughts on the draft? I know we're Seahawks fans. Ended up with Jadarian Price, the Kenneth Walker replacement. I mean, how do you feel about the Jadarian Price pick, and any other thoughts on the draft, either going forward or from last night?
I'll just wrap it up with the Hawks. Like, if I wasn't full on buy-in with John Schneider and anything he wants to do, I'll support. If I wasn't that, I probably wouldn't love the Price pick. I would have thought, wow, is he available 5 picks, 8 picks, 12 picks later? Is there any other running back anywhere close in that neighborhood that you can maybe get a little later? And I know they only have 4 picks, so they don't have a lot to work with. And I would have thought maybe there's another position of need where the talent is more certain, certainty in the first round where you're going to bring a guy in, he's going to start. But, I trust John Schneider. He's bona fide, this back. He's ready to go. If you had any question about, well, who's going to be their back? You won't anymore. Maybe we know Charbonnet is going to take a little longer. Maybe they can be safer with Charbonnet's return now, and it's going to be Wilson and Price is the main factors. I hope this doesn't have anything to do with Helani. I don't think it will. It's primarily a special teams, RB3. But I kind of support John Schneider, and I don't know. I mean, I hope it's not Rashad Penny all over again. Mm-hmm. That dude couldn't stay healthy, but we'll see. I trust John Schneider, though.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest Jadarian Price fan. Great athlete. doesn't really give you anything on third down. Not a great pass blocker. Didn't really show much. I mean, part of it, he didn't show much because you got Jeremiah Love, who's so good catching the ball that he's always on the field on third down. But I did say with Jadarian Price, like doing my write-up on him, if he's going to have success, it's going to be in a wide zone scheme where you just let him run. Just let him go be fast, because that's what he does really well. So, as the analyst part of me is like, I don't love the pick. You should have gone position, better position of need that's also higher value, right? Adam mentioned Zion Young. I'm a huge Zion Young fan. Would have loved that pick for them. But at the same time, the fan part of me is like, if you have an awesome running back, it's a lot of fun. Watching Kenneth Walker go crazy on this playoff run was a lot of fun. And if Jadarian Price is a good football player, catch me in a,
be really good next year. The Seahawks are going to win 12, 13 games, you think. Schedule's harder. They play tougher divisions now, but that's fine. I mean, no one's excited about playing Seattle this year. You're right. I'm with you on that. If the kid's good and can play, the offensive line is going to be better. On Sunday, Nathan, I don't think we're going to be texting each other saying, they really blew the Price pick.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be saying that. So we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm married into a Cardinals family. So my father-in-law, he goes, why did we take a running back 3? We're paying him $50 million. What are they doing? And then he follows up and says, but I'm going to get a jersey because he's going to be awesome. He's going to be so much fun to watch. He's like, we're going to go 6-11, but Jeremiah Love's going to be sick, right? It's the fan versus the analyst hat. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite picks as a Seahawks fan was the Rams taking Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Because they nothing to do with Ty Simpson as a player, but they just took a guy who's not going to make them better next year.
Won't play a snap.
Won't play a snap. Best case scenario, he doesn't play a snap, and you've got Matt Stafford for 17 games, right?
You got a 13th overall player where there are Pro Bowlers or very, very, very good players on the board that could help an already really good roster, and they chose elsewhere. And you saw the McVay stuff is floating out there. All that stuff's interesting. But, yeah, I saw Brock Heward's reaction on Twitter. They were doing a live show in Seattle, and Brock Heward, stood up in his studio and was celebrating the pick. He loved it so much that the Rams took Ty Simpson. That was interesting. That's kind of the talk of the day right now.
Yeah, especially because it seemed like McVay didn't love the pick just based off of some of the presser. How much you read into that, I don't know. But just as a Seahawks fan, Ty Simpson is 2030 Nathan's problem. So 2026 Nathan is ecstatic about it because you probably don't have to deal with him. But Johnny, thank you for coming on this morning. Got the spring game tomorrow. You'll be there. Bronco Nation News. We've got article up previewing it and talking through favorite things or things to watch for that game. Johnny, you'll be doing the post-game show live from the James with Prater here on Bronco Nation News for that tomorrow, correct?
Yep, I'll be over there. So you guys, after the game, you can't watch it, unfortunately, but we'll be summarizing everything and having fun there at the James. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah. Be sure to check out all of the stuff Johnny's doing over there at KTIK. Go follow us on Bronco Nation News. Go subscribe, be able to get access to all the VIP articles. We do appreciate when you guys do it. I believe right now 50% off a yearly subscription on BroncoNationNews.com. So head on over, take advantage of that while it's still there. We'll have NFL draft tonight. This is a quietly awesome time of year to be a sports fan. You've got the spring game, you've got the NFL draft, NBA playoffs going on, NHL playoffs going on. I think my Oilers are on tonight, game 3 against the Ducks. So I'll be watching the draft, seeing if KH Casey gets drafted, while also having my heart on the floor watching the Oilers, because playoff hockey is just another beast. But go follow along everything we're doing with Bronco Nation News. Go support KTIK. Go support the sponsors. We appreciate all you guys. And go check us out at BroncoNationNews.com. We will see you guys tomorrow for all of your spring game coverage. Take care.